Hi, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Today, we're doing our podcast, and we are fortunate to have Christine Barker, who is a licensed clinical professional counselor. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me.
You're very welcome. We were talking, about 2 weeks ago, and we were talking about all the things that is going on in this world, and of course COVID. Everybody knows COVID. If you haven't, you're living under a cave in a rock or something. But it's interesting, and you were telling me all the trauma that is going on, and for those of you that just tuned in, Christine is majoring in trauma and couples counseling. So that actually pulled me in because how I see all of this is one big trauma.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
So what are some of the things that you're seeing because of COVID?
So recently, COVID has put us all in a very unique situation that most people haven't been in before. Mm-hmm. So it's creating new issues, and it's also kind of bringing out old issues. People are being isolated socially, and that's creating issues. People that can't do their normal things, it's creating anxiety. People who've had trauma, it's bringing up trauma again. And if you're sitting at home doing nothing all the time, you think a lot. And so there's a lot of mental health issues going on during this time. And not to disclude the fear, just the fear.
It's interesting you said it's bringing out a lot of trauma in people that have had issues. Mm-hmm. I recently did a phone session with somebody, and I have never done her before, but ironically she told me that she was a sister of my client. And she told me who her client was, and I says, how is she doing? And she goes, well, Susan, I made this appointment because I needed to let you know that my sister committed suicide.
Oh, jeez.
And now her sister had many issues, and she has seen me for about 4 years. Mm-hmm. But ironically, she wrote a suicide letter, and she said, the reason I made this appointment was because you're in the letter, and I wanted to read it to you.
You're kidding?
No.
Oh my gosh.
And she went on to say, what she was doing, and she contemplated this many times, and she said that, for Susan, who's known me, and we must have been in previous lives because she so understood me, she said, but she says, honestly, she knew me so well that she kept me from committing suicide many times. Now, I started sobbing.
Of course.
And I'm
How
on
can
the
you
phone
not?
crying. Because it touched me so much, and I'm crying. Oh. And she's reading me this letter, and she says, I needed to tell you to keep doing what you're doing. Okay? So it got me thinking to how many people, people that are dying of COVID-19 is not actually from the virus. It's what is causing them to commit because of it. Mm-hmm. And when I started talking to you, because you specialize in the couples counseling and the trauma, I thought you would be such a great guest to have because you deal with this all the time. And some of the things I guess I wanted you, and I'm so glad you're here, but I wanted to find out, how do you deal with this? What do you tell people when they're struggling? Like, for instance, marriages. They're predicting how many divorces.
Oh my goodness. Babies or divorces, one of the
babies
two.
Or divorces, right? And maybe both. But how do you deal with people getting on each other's nerves? What do you tell them?
And it's hard because you kind of have to get creative. Because you can't do the normal, well, I'm just going to go, over here, go to the restaurant, go to the bar, go hang out with my friends. Like, you can't do that. Those tools are not available. So couples are really faced with having to deal with each other in a situation where normally they could kind of escape and then deal with it at a different time. So I tell couples if they, and it kind of depends on the couple too, right? How do you fight? What does that look like? Some people that are in bad situations, like domestic violence situations, these are really difficult times for them. Mm-hmm. But otherwise, if you're just kind of wanting to figure out how to deal with your spouse more, trying to separate if you can, going on a walk, calming down. I always tell couples that regardless, like try to calm down before you talk. Get to a headspace you can do that you need before you can talk. And maybe that means an hour, a day. Maybe that means you need to call your therapist. Maybe that means you need to talk to a friend to get to that level. So we talk about how to get to that level where you can communicate with each other. And then words. Words have never been more important, I feel, because they mean so much right now. And you have to learn the right words to use with your significant other in order to keep it at a reasonable level.
Do you find that when you have couples that come and see you, you have to teach them how to communicate? Because I find that most of the people, seriously, do not know how to communicate.
Most of it comes down to communication.
Yeah.
And they don't know the words to use. They don't realize, because that's a give and take situation. So what you say doesn't necessarily mean that the other person hears what you say or interprets it the same way. So the perception is something that we talk about a lot, and just even understanding that. So understanding that this person is trying to say this, and sometimes that message gets lost. So we talk about messages a lot, and we talk about intention. What is your intention behind this? Most people are not malicious people.
No.
They have good intentions with what they're doing. Even if it comes out mean, it's probably to protect them. And when we're in this heightened state that we are right now, and there's a lot of fear, people are a little bit more easily to jump to that level of whatever's going to hurt the other person to protect themselves.
I find that most people need their space.
Yeah.
And it's hard for people that are living in an apartment, because I'm getting a lot of those people, or they're in a very, very small setting, or they have kids and they're on top of each other. We'll get to the kids in a minute, but I'm thinking to myself, how do you handle even when you're in a small space?
It is hard. And in that situation, it kind of brings me to more internal places to go versus external.
I like that.
So in a situation, if you can go walk around the block or go to a different room and watch TV in your bedroom, that's great. But if you can't do that, what do you do? So part of my trauma training was an EMDR, which is eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. One of the things we're taught, and that I use even outside of EMDR therapy, is called safe, calm place. And it is a place that you create in your mind. Just maybe it's a memory or a happy vacation you went on, a place where you felt really good and safe and calm. And we enhance it and we strengthen it. And that's the place you can go when you're feeling like, if you don't have the big space to go, or if you can't leave because it's raining and we live in Chicago, you got to go somewhere in your mind.
I like that. So you're basically trying to train them into their safe place. I like that. That's really nice.
Yeah.
What's the success rate when you do that?
A lot of it is about how strong it can be for the person, and if that's something that works for them. Some people think it's silly, or like, whatever.
Yeah.
You're making. I'm going to an alternate universe in my mind. Well, it's kind of like watching a movie, right? Like you go and you watch a movie, and you get sucked into this movie, and you kind of forget about your world for a minute, and because you're feeling the feelings of what's going on in the movie. It's a similar experience if you can do that. So if you can do that and get there and really strengthen your safe, calm place, it can be excellent for a tool, and just the success rate is great, especially for trauma therapy, because if there is a lot of trauma on the outside of you and you need to go on the inside of you, you really got to make that stuff strong.
I love that, because I don't think people even know. Some people know it exists, but I think most people do not know that technique and how it exists.
No, most people go outside of themselves to cope.
I know.
Right? They go grab a drink or drugs or talk to their friends or get angry and throw things. You have a tendency to go outside yourself to try to control. And that is one of the harder things to control, because we can't control anything except for ourselves. So being able to learn how to go inside of yourself and create a place in there for you to be safe and to think and to feel good is, like, I think, one of the best tools you can have.
The power of your thoughts are quite important, and I say this all the time. Whatever you think is going to happen. And if you're going to stay in this dark place, everything will continue to be dark. So getting out of a dark place and having those techniques, I like that you do that and you strategize.
Yeah.
So for all the people that are listening, there are ways to cope. There is always a way to do it. But, for the people that come up with excuses not to, I feel bad for them. They just don't want to get better.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I look at this as this is going to be a new way to live.
Yes.
Now, I say this to my clients, you are allowed to mourn your old life. You know, people go, well, don't you get depressed? Personally, no. Because I keep myself busy.
Yeah.
But I figured that out about myself.
Yeah.
If I don't keep busy, you know, here's what I said. I do a lot of virtual, like the Zoom conferencing.
Mm-hmm.
I tell everybody, I've never seen so many headboards to a bedroom set because nobody's getting out of bed. Right. And it's like, my God, and here I am every day, and even though I'm home, I get in the shower, I put my makeup on, I do my hair because
it's important.
And people go, well, who's going to see you? I have to look at me.
At myself.
Yeah. And if I look at myself, doom and gloom, I'm going to feel that. That's for me.
Yes.
Okay? But you should structure is very, very important. And if you don't have structure, that's where you're going to go to a place that's dark.
Yes.
So I tell people, if you're busy, I miss going out to a restaurant. I miss going to the grocery store to see somebody just smiling.
Yeah.
Now
I've never
facial.
waved at so many neighbors in my entire life.
Right?
I don't even know you. Hey, you know. Like,
yeah. Isn't it sad? I mean, we're thirsty. We're creatures of that. We
yes.
need, you know, the emotional touch.
Yes,
we need that.
We need it. Mm-hmm.
It's very true.
Yep.
So I like what you said about that, but you know, I think structure is a very key thing. You have to continue to maintain that.
Well, and I think a big theme is control. Control what you can control.
Right.
If you can control the structure of your day, if showering and putting your makeup on makes you feel better,
yes.
and you can control that, do it.
Mm-hmm.
So whether it is inside of you or outside of you, finding something that you can control. I think structure is great. Having a routine is great. I think getting exercise is great.
Mm-hmm.
Getting outside, seeing the sunshine is just, you know, mood uplifting. So I think thinking about what you can control, and if you are a structured person, that helps a lot of people. It helps so many people.
Yeah, I if I didn't do that, I think I would go down.
Oh, a lot of people have, because
Yeah.
you know, either, you know, they're not going to school. Kids aren't going to school. You know, you're
Okay.
not in your normal work environment. You don't have, you know, in-person meetings to attend necessarily, like get this done by the end of the day. And if we're not used to that freedom, that like no structure thing, people just don't know what to do.
So what do you tell the parents that are going crazy with the kids all day? Because let's face it, none of us are school teachers.
Yeah.
How do you handle that? It's a hard thing.
It is so hard.
I mean, I give these parents so much credit.
Oh my goodness.
Because this is something that you're going to laugh, but I've always seen school go online.
Yeah?
Yeah, I've been saying.
Really?
Oh, God, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Matter of fact, I had a big debate with somebody that came to my house in January, and she got so mad because she's like, you know, she's coming up with all these excuses. No. What about the inner city kids? What about? I go, it has nothing to do with this. This is not an opinion. I actually think and see that schooling will be the norm online. And I really believe
And it
that.
might be. Yeah.
I really do. I
Yeah.
do. I think eventually everything's going to go online. It's a
Yeah.
whole different world. All right.
And if that does happen, parents are going to have to figure out what to do.
Well, that's just it, because parents kind of have to realize that, yeah, you know, school's going to be done differently, but parents, and I've said this to parents, you can't look at school as the babysitter. Teachers are not your babysitter, they're your teachers, but they're not your kid's babysitter.
Oh, absolutely.
Well,
And that happens a lot, yeah.
I get it, and I'm nothing
yeah.
against parents. I'm a parent too, and I remember all the things that I had to do with my daughter. But you know, it's a mindset to how you're seeing it. So I really think that people have to start changing and stop thinking how it was.
Yes.
Because I think people are getting more stuck there.
Yeah.
So and I know you have a lot of services in your office that, you know, you've got child psychologists and you've got all of those things, but what do you tell parents? I mean, I'm a parent now of a 5-year-old. What am I going to do with my 5-year-old? Thank God my daughter's 29 and I don't have to babysit her anymore. But what do you tell parents that have these little children?
Yeah, and it
What do they
depends
do?
on the situation. If they have to work,
Yes.
you know, if they don't have the child care, you know, there's a lot of factors in each individual situation. So it would be very different depending on who I'm talking to. But actually, Brittany Roback, my co-owner, she sees children and adolescents and their parents. And so she has been an awesome resource for this, even for me. Like, so when I have clients who are parents and I don't necessarily see the kids,
Right.
they're still going to me, what am I supposed to do? And I go, I don't know, Brittany, what do they do?
Yeah, there's a
And
way.
so we've collaborated a lot, and we've gathered a lot of resources.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and so we have
Really?
tons and tons. Yeah, Brittany was so good at this, and all of our therapists that see kids have just been pulling all these resources, whether it's, but it kind of does come back to structure, right? Finding a schedule and knowing your kids, knowing, do they need a snack time, how many times, when do they get tired, when do they need a nap, all those things. And they sort of help parents to create a schedule based on what the parents' needs are, the kids' needs are, and what if they're e-learning or not.
I find it hard for kids that have only children. And what do you do with non-social? Because I'm a parent of an only child, so I can only imagine how hard that would be if I had a child in this day and age of what's going on. At least other siblings, they still have each other, but my heart does bleed for the only children. That's not an easy thing.
Yeah, it's a different dynamic for them, right? Because they're used to interacting, and then all of a sudden they're not. And if mom and dad are working, you're by yourself.
Yeah, so I feel for that, and I think that there are things that they need to do with them. And I had somebody who came in this morning, and I said, financially, if you can you afford $60 a week? And she goes, yeah. I says, why don't you look online to a university and seek, my 12-year-old son loves art, looking for somebody who would love to come and do art projects with my son, or do science projects with my son. Because I used to do that with my daughter when we didn't have COVID.
Yeah.
I constantly
just as a resource for her to be social and be stimulated.
Always. I had these really cool kids from universities. You know what I love about kids that go to college? They haven't been married. They're not burned out of kids, and they think your kid's the greatest. They have all these patients.
You're like, yes, you come here. You want to hang out with my kid?
Exactly.
Perfect.
And I think your child is looking forward to somebody else other than the mom.
That is a great idea, and that's like a creative solution, right? Like, can I get someone to come here and interact with my child?
Exactly.
Or in a park setting, or in even a Zoom setting sometimes.
And sometimes I tell people too, if you can't afford it, maybe you can get neighbors and maybe all put $20 in, and then you can do something online with all the kids.
Yeah, that's a good idea too.
Or you can see them if they're at a distance. Put the masks, put the gloves on, and you can create these cool science projects. So if you can't, and I have a lot of parents that say, money's tight, I get that, but if you kind of all put something together, you could do that.
Yeah.
But I think children need more. You can't reason to a point, but you can't fully reason with a child. All the child's going to know is, I'm bored, I want to play.
Yeah.
They're 5 and 6 and 10.
Yeah.
They just want to play.
Yeah.
Okay? So those, I guess, getting more creative and teaching parents that would be something that would be good. But I always used to do that for Alex, and I'm glad I did, because I don't know.
Well, and asking the questions too, like, what are your resources?
Yeah.
Do you have a financial resource that you could work with to do something? Do you have neighbors?
Yeah.
If you live in an apartment complex, or if you live in a neighborhood, like finding out the different, situations that people are in and helping them come up with something creative that might work for them.
I think so, because I think this is really teaching us, for so long, with all the technology, I think people have gotten lazy, because they don't even look at time. It's like, oh, it's digital, boom. Half these people don't even know how to really. I said to somebody, it's 10 after 8. What?
What does that mean?
I'm like, oh God, it's 8:10. Oh, okay. Think about that, right?
Oh my gosh, I remember using maps, like maps. Now I don't even know what streets are called anymore. I just know where the little dot is telling me to go. It's like amazing.
Right?
Yeah.
So when you start doing these things, it's teaching people to really think outside the box.
Yes, it's thinking it in a way that we really haven't had to in a long time.
Yeah.
So I'm 36, and so people in my generation, like my friends on Facebook and things, I know we're Facebook people.
Yeah.
But, are saying things like, haha, kids, we used to have to do this when we were younger, when there wasn't all this stuff available. And I laugh kind of, but I also know that they grew up in a totally different era than we did.
Big time. I'm a lot older than you. We had encyclopedias. We we at the library. And alphabetizing.
Yes.
Nobody knows how to do that anymore.
No.
But we had to do all that.
Yeah.
When we had a project, we had to go and we had to research it.
Yeah.
All by hand,
Yep.
nothing at the click
Go
of
to
the
the
button.
library.
Yes.
Find the book.
Yes.
Hopefully find something that you can put in your paper that sounded like it went.
Oh God. I feel bad for people because I think the majority of people have to work today.
Yeah.
It is definitely become a 2-income family.
Mm-hmm.
And, for those of you that you're fortunate to stay home, try to be as creative as you can with your children because you get to be home. That is a luxury. If
Yes.
really it is. And there's nothing wrong with staying home, but then you need to start doing something creative. But, here's another thing. I want to say this. I want people to really understand cautiousness. I think that you could do pretty much a lot of things within caution.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
I traveled from Arizona and got here on Monday, and I wore my mask, I wore my gloves, I was totally covered from head to toe, my skin wasn't showing, got on the plane, I felt very confident with my mask, I wanted to die with the mask on for 6 hours. They weren't a paper mask, these were heavy duty masks.
Good for you.
But here's the thing, I landed Midway and 50%, and it was jam-packed, 50% of the population at Midway, people weren't wearing masks, neither were their children. Yeah, people, you have to wear your mask, wear your gloves, disinfect, wash your hands. Now, if you do this, I'm not saying to go in a crowd of people, but you know what? There are some things. People have become so petrified.
Yes.
I have a client who has not been out since it started. Has not been
Left
out.
his house?
Never left her house.
Oh my goodness.
Think about the phobia that's getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
Exactly.
Talk about that.
Yes. Even personally, we went to telehealth, and I am fortunate enough that my boyfriend did all the errands for me because I was still working, and I didn't leave for like 6 weeks.
Okay, so what was
'Cause
that?
I didn't
All right,
have to.
honestly, how did that make you feel?
Well, I didn't like it because I like to be out and about.
Did it
But
create
when
fear?
Yes, the first time I went out,
See?
I just, that little feeling in your
See?
stomach, like you're kind of just looking everywhere, like you have to readjust the way that you think. And I remember kind of the first time, it probably wasn't really 6 weeks, but like it was long enough to where I was like very nervous the first time. And when I went out, you start to think about all the things you touch. Should I grab my phone? Oh my gosh, I forgot the list. What's on my phone? Do I touch it because I just opened the door and I'm wearing gloves and then it's going to go on my phone and then you know what I mean? I could go on and on. I about the anxieties that I was like.
But you don't touch
having
your
in that
face.
moment.
You don't touch your face. You can touch a gazillion things. All you gotta do is wash it for 20 seconds. Gone.
Yeah, but you just the thought train starts to go, right? And then people get close to you, and then people kind of do it one of those, and
Right.
you're
Nobody's
like,
talking.
wow, no, it's so bizarre.
Here's what I want to ask you, okay? I personally feel there's going to be a second surge. It's common sense, okay? You don't need a psychic to tell you, please. It is
No, I
people.
agree.
There
Yeah.
will be a second surge,
Yeah.
okay? Because you're going to have 3 strains of flu coming. When we got coronavirus, we were done with regular flu and influenza. So think about this, when it came to the U.S. in January, okay, yes, we were in flu season, but it was very, very low, very, very mild cases. And then it started to escalate the 3rd week, 4th week in March. And then it was full blown. Everything changed. Everything became on lockdown.
Yeah.
Okay? Very interesting.
Yeah, that is interesting.
So we only really had to deal with corona. All right. So what I'm thinking is and all these people that are not social distancing, maybe the counts will go up, maybe not. Hopefully they stay down. But say hypothetically they don't. I'm seeing between August and October. October flu season starts coming. So we've got flu, influenza.
It's making me cough right now. Just thinking about it. Like, I feel a little.
Yeah, and COVID. Now you got 3 strains. Okay, now,
I know.
am I scared? No. But here's what I'm doing. I'm preparing.
Yes.
So I tell people, go to the store, stockpile. Get as much. I tell people, write
and
a
now
list.
while things are a little bit more available.
Here's what I tell people. Every day, just one day, write down everything that you had to use in a day. From your body lotion to soap to conditioner to hair, Tide clothing, all of that stuff. Okay, think about it. These are the things that you need. slowly stockpile on it.
Yeah, get an extra one each time you go to the store.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah, because here, when it comes out, do you really want to be with 3 strains of flu?
No.
Okay? So, again, start preparing so you're not, oh my God, and I got to go out. The fear will start coming down because you got it under control.
Yeah.
And what did you say at the beginning? If you have things under control, it helps your anxiety.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Is it going to come back? Well, there's no cure for it. So common sense is going to say, yes, of course it's going to come back. It hasn't even left.
No, it's still here, and people kind of are, at least today, kind of like, oh, Corona? What? You know, it's like, it's the shifting of the atmosphere is like going back kind of to normal, which I think it will probably make that worse too and make that happen a lot sooner as people get a little bit more comfortable.
Well, here's the thing too, maybe, and you could correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm looking at 2020 as the year we have to learn.
Oh.
We have to learn how to adjust and
Yes.
how to adjust to something new.
Resilience. Mm-hmm.
Okay, 2021, we now know what to expect and we've learned a different way, and now we have to honor the different way. So do I think 2021 is going to be way better? Yeah, because now, I'm not going to say it's 100%, but it's definitely going to be better because now we know what to expect.
Yes.
Okay.
I think it's smart.
Okay, so now here's another thing. I want to talk about this. I want to go back to my client's sister who committed suicide because she lived alone. She wasn't married. She didn't have children. She was alone. And I think a lot of people, or let's take it the opposite way, a woman or a man who's had children, they're grown, the grandchildren, they can't see the grandchildren, so now they're alone. Some of these people don't have their spouses. They passed. What would you say to these people that have to deal with things alone, mindset-wise?
Well, my heart just breaks thinking about it, but I know it's a reality for a lot of people. Mindset-wise, I mean, kind of like the external resources versus the internal resources again. Like if you have friends and extended family that you can connect with via phone or some other way, like try to do that so there's a little something. If you don't, you're gonna have to make friends with yourself.
Oh, very powerful statement. I like that. Making friends with yourself. How do you go about that?
Whew. How much time do you have? I'm just kidding.
Give me a tidbit to somebody that's
No, I'm
watching this that they could take away and hold on to. One strategy that would help them make friends with themselves.
Doing things with intention. The intention of that it does something good for you. Whether that be cooking, cleaning, listening to music, going on a walk, doing exercise, something that feeds your soul. Because if you're the only one that you have, like what would you do with a friend? You would do something that you both enjoy. You'd have conversations about things that you'd both enjoy. And it's trying to find that with yourself.
So taking care of yourself as if somebody else was taking care of you in that way, like filling that gap.
Yeah.
I like that.
Self-care,
Yes.
self-love.
Oh, it's beautiful.
Yeah. And really like, well, there's a whole path my mind is going down right now, but I think that's the key.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for that. You know, I have to tell you, Christine, you are a wealth of information. I so connected to you. I am so glad you came on the show. I want you to tell people how they can find you, the name and everything. And for those of you that have listened, thank you so much. I appreciate it. Christine Barker, she is wonderful, and she's a licensed clinical professional counselor. She will give you so many different strategies. She helps and specializes in trauma and couples therapy. She also has many therapists in her office, and I'm going to let you take the show and give the people all the information to contact you.
Well, thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome.
This
I'm having you on again.
Oh my gosh, this was fun. I feel like I could talk to you forever. But the name of my clinic is Inner Courage Counseling. We are in North Naperville. You can contact us at info@innercouragecounselingllc.com, or you can find us on the internet at innercouragecounselingllc.com.
And I love the name, Inner Courage. How'd you come up with that name?
Oh, it's a good story.
Yeah?
Well, and I think it's very fitting for now, too.
Okay, I know. It's like that. I really like that.
Yeah. Me and Brittany, who's the co-owner,
And I love Brittany.
Oh, yeah,
she
loves you.
She's a great girl. Love her. And she's wonderful with the kids, so you're right on that.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're kind of on opposite ends of the spectrum, but that's why we work well together, is because we balance each other out.
Yeah.
She sees the kids and I see the adults. So anyways, we were at a practice before, and me and her we click too, we align with our values and our morals. We had a lot of the same vision for what we wanted and decided to go for it and do it together. I was at my old practice for 10 years and she was there for 7. She was actually my intern. So we grew up together in the therapy world. And it takes a lot to make a change. It takes a lot to look inside yourself and see who you really are and what is best for you and act on it.
Right.
And so that's kind of where we got the name Inner Courage Counseling.
I love it. What a great story. And look what you did. You made it happen.
We made it happen. Our 1-year anniversary was Monday, last
Oh,
Monday.
congratulations.
Thank you.
This is great.
Yes.
Well,
we made it to 1.
You're going to make it to many more and many more.
Well,
honestly.
thank you so much.
You really will. Thank you for coming. Thank you very much for joining us. This was a great podcast. And when we can learn more about ourselves and how to go about things, that's the whole message. The day you stop learning is the day it's over. So be open to everything. Thank you for tuning in. Until next time, have a blessed day. Be strong. Stay well. We'll see how it goes. Take it day by day. Bye-bye.